So don't forget this week. It's just do it. Just real quick.
No, I'm telling you, it's do it. That's how Jonathan does it.
Okay, first of all, it's do it. As in, get out of my chair, do it. Yeah, no, you heard me.
Look at who is back.
Welcome back, Jonathan.
Jonathan is back in the saddle. Welcome back, buddy.
Teaming the power of the St. Augustine record and my St. John's son. This is the Playbook. Brought to you by the Sunset Grill. With your hosts Kevin Bassarat, Jonathan Bennett, and Justin Barney. Running the I formation with all the information you need on St. Johns County football.
Welcome back, everybody, to another edition of the Playbook here at sjcfootball.com. We're happy to have Jonathan Bennett rejoin us this week.
It's wonderful to be back, Kevin, but even better, all of our St. Johns County playoff teams are still in the running, and we got highlight reels from all of them.
That's right. We'll start out heading down to St. Augustine. The Yellow Jackets traveled to Baker County, where they won 30-6.
Cardell Brown starts the scoring for the Jackets on an 8-yard run through the right side.
Caleb Sturgis adds to the Jacket lead when he boots his 39-yard field goal through the uprights.
K1 Jakes connects with Rashard Hall, who takes the ball all the way down inside the Baker County 1-yard line.
Marlon Williams takes the ball around the right side for a gain of 10 yards as he stiff arms the Baker County defender to the ground.
Later on in the drive, Marlon Williams takes it in from 25 yards out.
The Jacket defense seals their playoff victory when Blake Brown forces a fumble to end Baker County's last threat.
And for the final score of the game, St. Augustine 30, Baker County 6.
Kevin traveled down to Nice, where the Panthers took out Columbia and shut them down for the second time this season. This time winning 21-0.
Nice High School Friday evening, the team feeling a little confident hosting Lake City, Columbia, running through the banner saying, "Been there, won that," referencing their state championship. Into the action now, Columbia gets off to a running start with number 24, DeMarcus Williams, taking this one right up the sideline. But Ty Carzoli won't let them get far, intercepting this pass from Columbia's Tiger Powell. That drive ends in 0 points, but a little bit later on, Ted Stakaitis starts gaining momentum with this run. Then Patrick Barker runs this one down the far sideline, setting up this pass reception by who else? Patrick Barker to the 4-yard line. Stakaitis can't find an open man and decides to take things in his own hands, running this one in for the touchdown. After the missed extra point, Nice leads 6-0 going into halftime. Columbia doesn't want to give up that easily, though. John Beasley lays a big hit on Nice's Matt Lickey, then pressures Stakaitis into a fumble that he quickly recovers. The defenses continue to shine, with Nice ganging up on KK Staples and also ensuring that Tiger Powell isn't going to become uncaged. In a game dominated by physical play and defense, Patrick Barker brings a shine to Nice's offense, with this pass reception leading to none other than Ted Stakaitis, running his second touchdown in of the night. After numerous attempts at a 2-point conversion, Stakaitis finally hits Brett Russey, bringing the Panthers up 14-0. A fumble by Columbia, recovered by Nice's Jared McNaught, helps Nice seal in the victory, but just for good measure, Stakaitis shares the touchdown wealth with Graham Bates, running in the closing touchdown to a Nice 21-0 victory over Columbia.
We just went to the run game and we could run on them, so that's what we did. We stuck to it second half and we pulled out the win. And like always, the defense just played great with another shutout. I mean, they're so hard to run on. That's what Columbia's strong point is, but they shut them out like usual. And then next week, I mean,
by far more physical. They brought their A game. They came in blitzing. They came in putting Tiger Powell at the quarterback position and running that Tiger package, we called it, and gave us some fits for that. He broke a long sweep early, and then until Bates put a hammer on him in the third quarter there, it was still, we just missed the extra point, so the door was always open for Tiger or one of their other athletes to break a long run or a mistake in the kicking game like we almost had that set up another touchdown. So it was a battle, and again, they it was certainly different than the first time we played them.
Again, being the last team standing, it's fun to come out here and keep on practicing on Monday. We keep on telling each other we'll see you on Monday, and we just want to keep on playing until we can't play no more.
And finally, Bartram Trail made the long journey to Niceville over in the Panhandle, winning 35-12.
In the second round of the playoffs, Bartram Trail took on the Niceville Eagles. In the first quarter, Kyle Parker sneaks in from 2 yards out as the Bears go up 7-0. The Eagles would try and stay in, and they make this 35-yard field goal, making the score 7-3. After a long run by Parker, he set himself up for a 2-yard score, taking the Bears up 14-3. Niceville would add this 24-yard field goal, taking the score to 14-6. In the third quarter, Parker would find tight end Andrew Parker for a 73-yard score, taking the Bears up 21-6. In the fourth quarter, the Bears start to pull away as Mark Safer scores on a 5-yard run, taking the Bears up 28-6. In the fourth quarter, Niceville would add a late touchdown on the quarterback keeper as the score goes to 28-12. With just minutes left, Parker finds wide receiver Brad Four in the end zone for a 31-yard score, taking the Bears to the third round with a score of 35-12.
Our Sunset Grill Player of the Week comes from that game. Jonathan, would you like to do the honors?
I would love to do the honors. I would be honored to do the honors. This week's Sunset Grill Player of the Week is again, for the third time, Kyle Parker. Parker had 345 total yards and 4 touchdowns in the win against Niceville. You could say he wasn't so nice against Niceville.
Now let's go check in with Justin Barney in St. Augustine for a preview of tonight's regional finals.
3 teams back in the playoffs. Third round, second consecutive year. Must be something in the water down here in St. Johns County. Bartram Trail, St. Augustine, and Nice playing for a spot in the state semifinals again tonight. 2 of those games at home, one of them not too far away. Fans want to make a trip down to Daytona Beach Seabreeze and see a Class 4A regional final match between Nice, 11-1 Nice, and 12-0 Daytona Beach Seabreeze. These 2 teams met last year in the regional finals. Quarterback Daytona Beach Seabreeze, Troy Danahauer, an 80-yard touchdown on Seabreeze's first play. But after that, it was all Nice. The Panthers win that one. And Nice has been doing it in the playoffs this season, too. 7 points they've allowed in 2 playoff games. Nothing last week against Lake City, Columbia. They allowed a touchdown in the Gainesville Eastside game in Week 1, but nothing since then. Nice, as you have heard me talk about all season, has been one of the best defensive teams in North Florida, certainly one of the best in the county. And classic offense-defense matchup tonight. Seabreeze, very explosive offense, so should be a good one there. Seabreeze probably wants to get a little bit of revenge after being knocked out last season by Nice. Another one in town, Class 3A, Tallahassee Godby, 9-3, coming off a big 41-0 win over Panama City Beach Arnold. St. Augustine, they will be visiting the Yellow Jackets. St. Augustine 11-1, and maybe their most convincing defensive performance of the season last week against Baker County. Baker County was averaging 431 yards of offense a game, most of that on the ground. St. Augustine completely took that running game away, anchored down on Carlos Holton. He failed to get 100 yards. I think he ended up with 82 yards on about 24 carries, so St. Augustine really limited him in that 30-6 win last week. So really an offensive-defense match this week with those 2 teams. The Cougars led by a big running back. British Footman is a Florida State commitment, so he'll be playing on Saturdays next year with the Seminoles. And St. Augustine, 5.1 points per game they're allowing teams. So, I mean, you figure in 12 games they're giving up an average of 5 points. Not bad, and they're averaging 35 a game, so that's pretty impressive. Looking to build on their 5 shutouts that matches the 2005 team that won a state championship through the regular season. The 05 Yellow Jackets also had 5 shutouts entering the playoffs. So that's pretty impressive comparison between those teams. Last but not least, Class 5A regional final. Very unusual matchup here. 2 North Florida teams. Bartram Trail hosting Fleming Island, both 8-4, and probably both didn't think they'd be here. Fleming Island upset Daytona Beach Mainland last week, State Power Mainland, 24-17. Bartram went out to the Panhandle and won its second ever playoff game on the road, beating Niceville 35-12. Kyle Parker heating up at the right time this season. Big game last week for the senior quarterback who's headed to Clemson, 345 yards, 4 touchdowns. Our player of the week. Bartram looking to maybe get to the state semifinals for the first time in program history, and you probably like to see Fleming Island in this game tonight if you're a Bartram fan. Bartram hammered Fleming Island in a preseason match earlier this season, so if you're a Bartram fan going into tonight's game, you got to feel confident. Checking in with former St. Johns County athletes who are now doing it at the next level. We've got 4 guys for you this weekend. 2 big performances last week from a pair of county alums. We'll start off with Quentin Hancock, maybe the 2 biggest catches this season for Tennessee. Both of those catching in overtime in a huge 4 overtime victory over Kentucky. Quentin Hancock, 2 catches, 55 yards, and 2 touchdowns, and that win pushed Tennessee to the SEC championship game tomorrow night against LSU. So a big game for Quentin Hancock. He continues to do it. That's his 3rd TD of the season. Tim Tebow, a guy that you may hear mentioned quite a bit in the next couple weeks, even though the Florida Gators are done. Completed the regular season with a huge blowout of Florida State last weekend. Tim Tebow, 2 rushing touchdowns, 3 passing touchdowns, upped his season total to 51 touchdowns this season. That's numbers he put up at Nice. He's doing it in the SEC this year. And that big win over Florida State, 262 yards through the air, 89 on the ground, and Heisman favorite right now is what's being mentioned. That's coming a week from tomorrow and in New York, so we'll see if Tim Tebow can become the first sophomore to win the Heisman. The former Nice star has just been tearing it up at Florida this season. Next guy, going to a Bartram Trail graduate, Stephen Briggs. Did not get the win for Alabama State last week, but he caught a touchdown in a wild 64-58 loss to Tuskegee in a very big overtime game there. So a shootout, and it's what's one of the annual rivalries between those two teams. Last but not least, going to Nice. Matt Koch, a nose guard for the Princeton University football team. Incredible season for him. He finished up the year with 37 tackles, 3 tackles for loss, an interception, a forced fumble, and an honorable mention selection on the All-Ivy League team. So congratulations to Matt. Check in with you. Check in actually at sjcfootball.com and an update on every player who's playing Division I football. Got their stats and how they did this season on the site for you to check out. Thanks.
Well, with Jonathan's previews out of the way, we wrap up yet another edition of the Playbook.
We've been going for 14 weeks now, longer than some of my favorite TV shows, and since we have no budget, we're sure to be here next week. So on behalf of myself, Kevin Bassarat, Justin Barney in St. Augustine, and Bill Dangerous Bortsfield, we'll see you next week on The Playbook.